Texas is also getting, Democrats in Texas are getting a little bit of attention because of their rising Democrat star, Jasmine Crockett. Turns out she may be a toxic boss, according to the New York Post. Here's the headline. Trump critic Rep. Jasmine Crockett is a no-show boss from hell who terrorizes staffers. Aides say, all Diva, no wow. Inside, you see a quote, former aide to Crockett, saying that they don't like their boss. She is lying around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is just really indifferent to staff and will scream at them. She is never in the office and is very disengaged. She does her BS that goes viral and then freaks out over the most random things.
I mean, who's surprised? I mean, this is my favorite Congresswoman. I enjoy her because I think if you promote someone like this, then you can just kiss the national election goodbye. And honestly, I don't think this was like a secret. She kind of does act this way publicly as well, but she's getting the Amy Klobuchar treatment. Abuses the staff. Kamala Harris, we heard behind the scenes, abuses her staff, doesn't really do the work, trying to look for viral moments, and she's really not effective as well. What piece of legislation can you say she has been successful on? What piece of legislation has she changed the country on?
Well, unfortunately, fame is a very powerful drug, and clearly it has gotten to her head. I interviewed Chairman James Comer, and I asked him about her because she's on the Oversight Committee. And he said when she first came to Congress, totally different person than she is today. It's like night and day. And then we saw that in do you remember the Atlantic profile piece? Mm-hmm. She said she was shutting down the profile and revoking all permissions like you have the authority to do so. Because the Atlantic reporter had the audacity to ask other Democrats about her. And then apparently her lock screen is like a photo of herself.
The Escalade. She asked the staff to use the Escalade. They have to rent an Escalade to come pick her up. Now, normally, the members let their interns as well as their schedulers just use their personal car, and they can come pick her up. But she requires them to go rent the Escalade just to drive, and they have to be waiting outside of the Escalade with the door open.
Boy. So we got to follow up on our coverage of the Ghetto Democrat superstar Jasmine Crockett, who is now getting exposed. Okay, she's getting exposed because people are now starting to ask questions about how Democrats and her staffers feel about her. Okay, because she is trying to position herself as a superstar, as a leader within the Democrat Party. But it seems as if Democrats don't actually really F with Jasmine Crockett like that behind closed doors. First, she came in last place. Black Democrats refused to vote for her to become a leader within the Democrat Party on the Oversight Committee.
I went through the first leg of this race today, and there have been recent questions about something that just wasn't true, because I'm always loud and proud about everything that I have to say. But it did cause me some issues for sure. So I placed last in the recommendation from Steering and Policy. And so with that, I am not going to caucus for a vote tomorrow. And, those that have decided that they want to stay in the race to pursue the position, I am going to gracefully bow out because it just kind of is what it is, right? Like it just is what it is. And so
there was a profile that came out from the Atlantic that outlined how Jasmine Crockett was upset and freaking out over journalists questioning Democrats about Jasmine Crockett, right? Asking Democrats, her colleagues, how they feel about her. Apparently, she didn't like those questions being asked, okay? Even though, again, she's supposed to be a superstar, but she didn't want anybody asking other Democrats how they feel about her, okay? And then you had a bombshell piece from the New York Post that came out outlining that Jasmine Crockett's own staffers, people who have worked with her, do not like her at all, that she is a boss from hell, okay, that she's a terrible person to work for. She is selfish. She is one of these individuals that is just concerned about being a social media star. I mean, we're talking about allegations of forcing her staffers to go rent Escalades, presumably with campaign funds, right? So again, this is what people are donating to when they donate to somebody like Jasmine Crockett, to rent Escalades to drive her a few blocks from her apartment that she never leaves, by the way, right? She never goes into office. But when she does go into office, she has to take an Escalade, right? Where, the staffers, act like they're her servants, right? Where they get out of the car and they open the door for her to get into the Escalade and for her to, get driven to the Capitol and to have the door open and for her to get out like she's some very important person, right? These are the allegations that came out against Jasmine Crockett that she really doesn't like.
With aggressive and offensive language. Now that liberal Congresswoman, Ms. Crockett, is contending with a report that she's a terrible boss who terrorizes her own employees. Sources tell the New York Post that Crockett screams at her staff, is never in the office, freaks out over the most random things, is focused almost exclusively on being an influencer, and has overall a toxic staff environment. On one occasion, she even reduced an aide to tears. One source summed it up as, quote, all diva, no wow. That's reportedly behind closed doors. This is in public.
Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of okay, we know that. Kind of like, the orange orangutan, the Timu Hitler.
They understand that we have a Timu Hitler in the White House right now that thinks that he is going to become the dictator of the United States.
We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your... We will not allow a bully to punch us in our face. We are not only going to punch you back, but we are going to knock you out.
Well, Ben, if that's what she's displaying publicly, my goodness, what is happening behind closed doors?
Yeah, look, the Democratic Party's got a problem because they've basically taken a bunch of social media influencers that are really loud and know how to get like TikTok views and said, be a congressperson. We'll bring you up here. And they don't legislate. She's not representing the people of her district. She's never there and working with them. And again, all of these accusations are coming from her staff. People that worked for her, and they say she's never in the office. She's always hanging out in her apartment. She only wants to be on TV. She only wants to be viral. She only wants to call the president a POS. And this is, again, the Democratic Party. Look, I think they've got a big problem because now you got Marxists, socialists, and communists and TikTokers like her who are out there saying, I'm a congresswoman, even though I don't represent or do anything for my constituents. It's serious people should be in Washington. You should be working for the people, not trying to get views on clickbait like she does every day. So good luck to the Democratic Party. You've created this, you've emboldened it, and now this is what you've got, and you wonder why your approval rating's at like 9%.
Yeah, so my main takeaway when it comes to these allegations against the ghetto congresswoman is that she is nothing but a big, loudmouth, do-nothing Democrat. That's what she is, right? That's what she is at this point. She goes on TV, she talks a whole lot of junk, she makes a whole lot of noise, but there's really nothing behind it, right? At the end of the day, after she gets off of television ranting about Trump, she goes to her apartment and gets on social media, right? And brags about how, she said something mean about Trump, right? That's what she does. That's it. That is what she does for her constituents, right? And she fundraises off of that. And hey, low-key, she's kind of figured it out, right? She's figured out that her constituents apparently aren't smart enough to understand or to even care about the fact that she does not represent them at all. And she's totally fine with that, right? She's totally fine with just being a social media star, being a mouthpiece, an anti-Trump mouthpiece, and that's it. So with that being said, she is responding to these allegations, okay? And of course, we know the allegations are true because she's boohoo whining crying racism, right? She's claiming that these allegations are racist. And I have some issues with her claiming that it's racist because it doesn't really seem to match up with the makeup of her staff, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Congressman Crockett, you gained a lot of attention by being a rather fierce critic of the president. Some of your language in this interview suggests as much. Teddy Roosevelt told us to be in the arena means to be scrutinized and to be criticized. The New York Post has a story today that has a headline that reads, "No-show boss from hell who terrorizes staffers," referring to you. Are you a no-show boss from hell who terrorizes staffers?
Oh, my goodness. Listen, I know that I have arrived, honey. That is the way that I see this.
Because as Beyonce says, if they're not talking about you, then obviously you must not be doing anything. You know what? This is just more slander, more nonsense, more lies. And honestly, I don't think that the New York Post would probably be the first ones to be able to figure out if I was a boss from hell. I just don't think so. I have happily served on the state level for, I did 2 years there, and now I am at year 2.5 on the federal level. And so 5.5 years in, all of a sudden, I'm this terrible person and terrible boss. Yeah, I don't think so. And ultimately, it wouldn't be the New York Post. Now, here's the reality. It is very difficult to work on the Hill, no matter who you are, whether you're a member, as you and I were joking before we got on camera about all of the scrutiny that comes with being not only woman, but being young and being a Black woman.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of scrutiny that comes my way, and it comes my way from all different angles. But when people start talking about you, that's when you know that you are obviously getting under their skin. So I am not gonna give up. There's a song that I like to quote every once in a while. It says, "Your hate is my motivation." So keep hating. All it does is motivate me to continue to do what I do, which is to be loud and proud on behalf of the American people.
Texas.
Yeah, so basically, Jasmine Crockett is claiming that the criticism that she's getting is not because these allegations are true, right? It's not because the people that work for her think that she is a boss from hell, that she is a bad person to work for. No. It's because she's Black. It's because she's a woman, right? Of course she pulls the race card, the woman card, when facing this type of criticism. Now, again, my issue with this is that the people who are saying this are Black. The people who are levying this criticism are Black, right? Like, from the New York Post article, another aide, a young Black woman, was fired abruptly and confided to a colleague, quote, "I don't want to hear Jasmine Crockett talk about helping Black women when she just fired one for no reason." Capitol Hill jobs often are filled based on personal connections, and openings are circulated among friend groups. A source told the Post that a job listing for Crockett's team recently was shared among a large group of Black Democratic women, but nobody expressed interest in the gig. Quote, "You would think working for a Black woman, if you are a young Black woman or a young person of color, you would feel empowered in that space," said a former Democratic congressional aide. But truly, the only person that she thinks about and cares about is herself. The staff is really just an island unto itself because she doesn't care about the local issues happening in her district. This person added, she's more focused on, quote, "Get me on The View, get me on this late night talk show." Yeah, so again, this is why I find these allegations that, well, these accusations, right, this story is coming from a place of racism and hate because she's Black. Again, I find that to be fascinating because, again, you have Black people specifically, they're the ones that are making allegations, right? The people who work for her, also LGBTQ people as well, too, are making allegations against her because she used the term butch to attack Marjorie Taylor Greene, and some of her gay staffers said, hey, like, this is making us uneasy. And apparently, she told him to kick rocks when she was confronted about how she was using language that was triggering them, right? If you look at this post, also one of these social media posts that she put out here, right? Trying to be an influencer, social media star. Again, look at her staff. These are Black women. These are Black women. Now, I wonder if one of these Black women, were they the ones that spoke to the New York Post and said that Jasmine Crockett is terrible to work for? But again, these are the people that are working for her, right? So you mean to tell me that the allegations these types of people are making are racist, right? They're making these allegations because you're a Black woman? Is that what you're telling me? Because to me, that don't sound right, right? To me, what sounds right is that she's just a bad boss. She's a bad person. She's not working on behalf of her constituents. She's working on behalf of herself, her own fame, her own money, what she wants, her own career advancement. And, hey, there are people who actually do want to work for and serve the people. And if that's what you want to do, working for Jasmine Crockett is not the way to accomplish that, right? Clearly, that's not the way to accomplish it. And that's what a lot of these complaints come from. They come from the fact that, hey, we don't feel like this woman is doing her job. And again, that's not really serving us well because, we actually really want to be servants of the people, which is something that she doesn't want to do, right? She'd rather do this instead. this is what she's obsessed with. This is what she likes. She raises money off this. She fundraises off of it. And that's the extent of what she does, right? So, yeah, I mean, again, I'm trying to figure out how is it that people like this individual who apparently, complained to the New York Post about Jasmine Crockett, how is this racism, right? How is this sexism? These are black women working for you. The people that are complaining are black women, right? They're woke, okay? They're people that agree with you. That's why they're working for you. So, again, this is hilarious. Anytime these people face criticism, the criticism is true when they start lashing out, boo-hoo-wine and crying racism. So, like I said before, and I'll say it again, this just makes me believe that Democrats should make Jasmine Crockett the leader, right? We should hope and pray and cheer for Democrats to make Jasmine Crockett the leader of their party. In fact, I hope she runs for Senate out in Texas. I hope that she gets spooked out by the redistricting that is happening in the state, and she runs for Senate. I hope she runs for Senate. I really hope and pray, because I think that she will win that Democrat primary, which would almost guarantee she'd lose the general election. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.